issues before the court.
One has to do with conversion therapy, a law out of Colorado restricting Christian counselors' ability to communicate with her clients based on her faith over gender dysphoria issues. She's challenged that. There's also state laws out of West Virginia and Idaho where the states have looked to ban transgender athletes from competing in girls' sports. The Supreme Court will decide that.
Congress failed to pass a bill this past week to fund the government, leading to a shutdown. Amid the struggle to get the government to open again, Republicans are urging Democrats to vote for their clean resolution to keep funding at current levels through November. President Trump blames the opposing party for the stall.
The Democrats are causing the loss of a lot of jobs with their, it's a shutdown. It's their shutdown.
An immigration enforcement advocacy group says it is clear that Democrats have no problem forcing a government shutdown if it benefits illegal aliens. Chad Groening has more.
The government shutdown continues as congressional Democrats are holding fast to their demand that a continuing resolution must provide a panoply of costly public benefits and tax credits to illegal aliens. Republicans want a clean CR that will keep the government functioning for the American people. On Friday, another Senate vote was taken, and there was still not enough support to break the Democrat filibuster. Lawmakers will take up the bill again Monday morning. Ira Melman is media director for the Federation for American Immigration Reform.
We're going through a process here where we're cutting budgets. We are asking people across the country to accept the fact that we cannot afford to do all the things that they might want the government to do. And it certainly makes sense to say that this group of illegal aliens should not be entitled to these benefits.
But Melman says Democrats don't care about fiscal responsibility.
The Democrats are saying we want to restore those benefits to illegal aliens. These were benefits that were taken out during the reconciliation bill. And it's enough that they want to shut down the government. They need to explain to the American public why it is that they're prepared to shut down the entire federal government in order to give benefits to people who are in the country illegally.
Melman says polls still show that a strong majority of Americans oppose their position. I'm Chad Groening.
Former FBI Director James Comey was indicted last month on charges of making false statements to Congress and obstruction of justice. And House Oversight Committee Chair James Comer says the press could be investigated next.
I would love to know who a lot of the media personalities and media outlets were, who he was passing classified information on, who he was creating false narratives with, to see what they've reported about Trump and Russia and other hoaxes over the years.
More news online at afn.net and on the AFN mobile app. I'm Russ Key.
AFA Action takes attacks on the family seriously. The enemies of the family constantly employ new tactics to try to sneak past our radar. They know if we stand together, their evil plans will fail. Your gift to AFA Action allows us to stay vigilant against their onslaught. And if you give this month, you'll receive access to the Cultural Institute video When Your Faith is Illegal by Frank Harbor on AFA Stream as our thanks. You can make your gift today at afaaction.net.
Welcome to Today's Issues, offering a Christian response to the issues of the day. Here's your host, Tim Wildmon, President of the American Family Association.
Hey, good morning, everybody, and welcome to Today's Issues on the American Family Radio Network. Today's Monday, October the 6th, 2025. We, as always, thank you for listening to AFR. Well, joining me in studio this morning is Ed Vitagliano. Good morning, Brother Ed.
Good morning.
And Fred Jackson.
Hi there, Tim.
You're my brother too, Fred, but I don't know if to call you. I don't know why I don't call you that, but yes. So, fellas, we got Share-a-thon coming up here at AFR Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday.
Starting tomorrow.
What are we going to be doing here, Ed?
Well, we are going to be interacting with our possibly billions of listeners. Okay, might be a slight exaggeration. Yeah. Share-a-thon Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, 3 days in the fall, 3 days in the spring. We come to our listeners and we ask them to help support American Family Radio so we can stay on the air for another 6 months till the next Share-a-thon. And our listeners are great to support those who can support the ministry. So this show, for example, will be on during Share-a-thon for 2 hours instead of just the 90 minutes, but all through the day we will be encouraging people to give and support the ministry.
Yeah. It's a lot of fun, Fred, Share-a-thon time.
Absolutely. And one of the aspects of Share-a-thon that I just really enjoy is the testimonies that we get from our listeners, because that is so encouraging to us to see how God is using American Family Radio to bless the lives of so many people across the country. And, testimonies about listening to a program and they heard the gospel and they accepted Christ as their Savior. Testimonies from people. I'm amazed. I have AFR on 24 hours a day at my house, that sort of thing. So it's a great time of encouragement for us folks. So we're looking forward to hearing from you.
Share-a-thon tomorrow, Wednesday, and Thursday. 3 days in the fall, 3 days in the spring. But as you know, if you're listening to Share-a-thon, we don't just sit here and say, send money, send money, send money, send money, although that would be a good subliminal approach, I think, but I'm not sure it would work.
Right.
So we're going to stick with our traditional radio programming, and it'll be a lot of fun and interaction, as you say, Fred, with a lot of our hearing back from a lot of our listeners and interviews we're going to do, and we'll cover some of the news of the day. So we will be here again tomorrow morning. I'm going to be on with Jenna Jenna Ellis at 7 Central. I think we start at 6.
Yeah, I'm going to be here at 6.
Yeah, Fred Jackson and Bert.
Brother Bert.
Brother Bert Harper.
Yeah, it's got the alarm set.
And there's a contrast in geography right there. Bert from Mississippi and they're going to be, and Fred from Canada. They're going to be joining together.
Mm-hmm.
Teaming up.
They're going that north meshing with the south is going to create a tornado of where am I going with this?
Stay tuned.
But I will say this, Tim, that's kind of what American Family Radio does.
Yeah.
It brings people together.
That's right.
People from varied backgrounds,
That's right.
varied dialects, which you'll get two different dialects
yes, you
with
will.
Fred and Bert.
Yeah, you choose which one you want to.
And Fred and Bert, were they? That was a great duo on Sesame Street.
Was for, and then Ernie came along.
Yeah,
Hey Bert, kick Fred out. Fred became a bird.
Yep.
After that, all right, you're listening to today's issues on this Monday, October the 6th. What's our first story, Fred?
Well, this story needs a whole lot of prayer. I'll tell you right now, negotiators for Hamas terrorists and Israel. The United States will send representatives. This is talks. They're at a Red Sea resort right now. This is aimed at seeing if President Trump's peace plan that we learned about last week, his 20-point peace plan, if they can actually bring this off. Now, the Hamas terrorists, tomorrow is the 2-year anniversary of that massacre that occurred on October the 7th, 2023. Right now, we have, they say, about 48 hostages, 20 of whom are alive. And at the top of this agenda, now Hamas has indicated they are willing to release these hostages. However, as we say, it's a 20-point plan. There are other things that are not committed to yet. We'll put it that way. For instance, part of this plan calls for Hamas to relinquish all control, to disarm. Hamas has not said yet they're willing to do that. There are some other things, complication. What happens? Israel's supposed to withdraw under this plan completely. And I believe there's some nervousness amongst that. Now, Secretary of State Marco Rubio was asked about all of this. He put it very well, what's at stake here. Cut number 4.
The second part of this, and it's going to be a much tougher part of it, is what happens after that? Who's going to run Gaza moving forward? It can't be Hamas. It can't be a terrorist organization. And the demobilization of terrorism in Gaza is the end goal here in terms of ensuring that this never happens again. That whole place has to be rebuilt. That's not going to happen in 72 hours or 6 weeks. I mean, that's going to take some time. But this is the closest we have been. This is the most progress we have seen.
Now, Israeli UN Ambassador Danny Danon Now, he's hoping for peace, but he said Israel is ready to finish the job if they can't come to a settlement here. Cut number 3.
We pray that the Hamas will go along. You never know with those guys. It's a terrorist organization. We had a bad experience with them, so we are hopeful, but we never know what they will do. And I hope that they will accept the deal. If they will not do that, we will have to do it the hard way.
Now, this morning I heard a very, very compelling interview with one of those Hamas hostages that was released. Eli Sharabi is his name. He was on with Fox this morning. He was held by the Hamas terrorists for 16 months. The Hamas terrorists on October 7th, 2023, killed his wife and children, and then he was held for 16 months. He talks about what it was like being held by Hamas. Cut number 5.
Was there anyone there that spoke up and said, this is not right?
Oh, no way. It's not why they kidnapped us. For them, it was more than right. And they wanted to make us suffer. And, their rage and hate was everywhere. We've been humiliated daily basis, asking permission to go to the bathroom, to speak, to breathe. We begged for food every day. Sometimes it was violence against us. One day they broke my ribs, but the starvation was the worst thing ever. When I was on October 7, I was more than 70 kilos, and when I was released 16 months later, I was 44 kilos.
He's talking pounds. He's talking what we would refer to as pounds.
Yes.
His weight.
Yeah.
His weight dropped drastically.
Yeah. He had to beg for food. They broke his ribs.
Yeah. Well, that's what they do to hostages.
They're monsters.
Yeah.
Unfortunately. Hey, Ed?
Well, I got to say I'm kind of pessimistic about this whole thing. This would be great if Hamas agreed, but I don't trust terrorists. Okay, I've said this a lot. I don't trust communists. I don't trust terrorists. And Hamas is a terrorist organization. I find it hard to believe that even though part of this deal would be that Hamas or any other terrorist organization are not going to be allowed to run Gaza, but I think Hamas would be in the background. I think whoever was running Gaza would be a puppet organization. So I know that Israel's under tremendous pressure, I think, from President Trump to get this deal done. President Trump, I think, over the weekend mentioned the fact that Israel has lost a lot of support from around the world because they continue to prosecute this war against Hamas to try to finish that organization. So we'll see. I think, obviously, people can pray that there would be peace in that part of the world, but I don't see a terrorist organization that has been committed to the elimination of the state of Israel making any deal long term that will prevent them from trying to see that come to fruition.
Do you think we as American Christians, and Canada too, but Christians in the West, but particularly in the U.S., care more about this situation because it involves the Holy Land?
I think so.
Ed?
Nope.
Yeah. I think so. Because now I'm sure there are Christians in our country who care about and should care about what's going on to Christians in Nigeria, for example. But I don't think we pay attention to a lot of the kinds of intertribal, ethnic skirmishes and wars that are going on in other parts of the world. But we do have a particular interest, obviously, in the Middle East because it's the land of the Bible. It's, you said, the Holy Land. There's biblical prophecy that we expect at some point will begin to unfold or continue to unfold. So that, I think that absolutely that's of particular interest.
Also, the Jews go back thousands of years, and God has a covenant with the Jews, right?
Yes. That's right.
Yes.
And that's also in the scriptures. So it's not that Christians don't care about what's happening other places around the world. We always should. But there are places that are especially important to Christians, and obviously Israel, and in a broader way, the Middle East is one of those places.
Just my opinion, but I'm getting concerned about President Trump's attitude towards Israel. He said some things on the weekend that we cannot repeat on the air. But here was one quote. He said, "Bibi went too far in Gaza, and Israel lost a lot of support in the world." And Trump went on to say, "Now I will bring back all that support."
Bibi's referring to Benjamin Netanyahu.
Yeah, Bibi went too far.
Prime Minister.
What would America do if there was a terrorist group just over the border in Mexico? And Bibi has mentioned this, Netanyahu has mentioned this. If you take the population equivalent, let's say October 7, 2023, the terrorist group just over the Mexican border came in and massacred 40,000 Americans. That's what we're talking about here.
Right. That's the equivalent.
Percentage-wise.
Percentage-wise.
Yeah.
And what would we say if some UK leader or president of France said, "Hey, America, back off. You've done too much. You've blown this." We would tell them to go pound sand.
Yeah.
And I think, maybe I'm wrong, but I think President Trump is at the point he wants a victory. He wants a foreign policy victory, even if it costs Israel something. And that concerns me.
Yeah. Well, me too. We'll see where this goes in the next few days. I don't think Israel should be pushed or forced into a agreement with a ceasefire or end of the war if that it's going to leave them more vulnerable again, because now's the time to end this. You'll never end the ideology of Hamas. That is that all Jews should die,
right?
And that the Palestinians there should take over the country of Israel, push the Jews into the sea, right? I mean, that's basically what their charter calls for. But anyway, we'll see. It's a very volatile situation right now. What I don't understand sometimes with President Trump is he just sometimes he'll just flip on without, like, is there a deadline here or not?
No, not right now.
Okay, but he said there was, and now.
Yeah, he said yesterday, Sunday was a deadline.
Okay.
And so there's obviously no settlement yet.
So there is no, Sunday wasn't a deadline?
No.
Okay. That's what I'm saying is I would rather him say there is no deadline.
Yeah.
Than to say there is a deadline and then let it pass and nothing happens. Which, so anyway, we'll Ed, your thoughts on President Trump on this situation? He desperately wants a Nobel Peace Prize, and he
really has done quite a bit. I mean, in his first term, he had the Abraham Accords. He is trying to get deals done around the world. He tried to get a conclusion to the war between Russia and Ukraine. Russia wasn't having any of it, and to some extent, Ukraine, understandably, was not willing to give up a third of its country. So President Trump is trying to get peace deals.
But see, this is where President Trump, again, sometimes when you're critical of President Trump, people say, well, you don't need to be because, he's God's anointed for America.
Right.
Okay. But I'm talking politically here. Sometimes President Trump does things that you just can't. I guess it's 3D chess, right? That's what we're told, right? Because he said about a few months ago about Ukraine that they need to give it up because there's no chance for them to win. There's just going to be more death and destruction. They need to surrender a third of their country or whatever like that. Then, like 2 weeks ago, he goes, "Hey, Ukraine may take all of their territory back."
Yeah.
So I mean, you know what I'm saying? You just don't know.
And I think over the weekend, President Trump said he's considering sending cruise missiles to Ukraine, which will give that country the capacity to reach Moscow, which I think leads us closer to an open conflict with Russia.
Why would you say something like that?
I don't know. I don't know why you – first of all, I don't know why you consider since he's been wanting to keep us out of conflicts in Europe.
Right.
I don't know why you even consider, even privately, consider sending sophisticated weapons to Ukraine, which could draw us into a conflict. You know, Russia's already been buzzing some of the NATO countries with drones and even some minor incursions with aircraft.
Yeah.
They all already look like they're itching for a fight with NATO, which I think would be foolish on Russia's part. But Trump promised to keep us out of wars like that, so I don't know why you – and certainly you don't publicly.
Are you sure he said that?
Yeah, I'll check and find out the circumstances.
Okay, all right. Well, anyway, because I didn't read that anywhere, and I read the Daily Mail. And if it's not in there, then I don't know that I think it's newsworthy. So, all right, you're listening to today's issues on the American Family Radio Network. Well, the negotiations go on today in the Middle East between Israel and Hamas. Now, the interesting thing is there that the Arab countries that surround Israel have signed off on this.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So they want Hamas to surrender, basically, their weapons, lay down their weapons, and just continue the fight.
Yeah.
So what are you going to quote now?
This is from the BBC.
Yeah.
Trump considering supplying Ukraine with long-range missiles. Vance says the U.S. is considering a request by Ukraine for long-range Tomahawk missiles, U.S. Vice President J.D. Vance has said. However, Vance added President Donald Trump will be making the final determination on the matter. So
you agree with that?
No, I don't think we should be doing that.
Right.
Because Ukraine, listen, they've been taking a beating. All right, even some of their cities. You remember how they touted the drone attack, a couple of successful drone attacks. If we give them Tomahawk missiles, they're gonna aim for Moscow to do damage to Russia because of the damage that Russia's done to Ukrainian cities. And what if they killed high-ranking Russian officials? Those missiles came from us. The fact that a proxy nation used our missiles to attack the capital of Russia could draw us into an armed conflict. What if Russia says, okay, they did that, so we're going to attack American interests, or we're going to attack Poland. These are the kind of things. I've been listening to a podcast about World War I, several podcasts on the subject, and it is really strange how very small things can start a world war. And I don't want to see us involved. I don't want to see anyone involved in a world war. I don't want to see us involved simply because we decided, well, all right, let's just give them Tomahawk cruise missiles.
Yeah.
I just don't agree with it.
I think it is safe to say at this point that the summit in Anchorage back, about a month ago, that accomplished nothing. There was a great deal of optimistic talk coming out of it. But, I mean, Putin went home and he started firing.
Yes.
Again, drones. I mean, there's.
Yeah, I think he played Trump right there.
I think you're right.
Huh? I think he played Trump right. Trump doesn't get played by a lot of people, but Putin has got him fiddling.
Yeah. Yeah.
Huh?
Putin has clearly in mind what he wants in Ukraine. He either wants it under direct Russian control, or as one of the military prime ministers, the Defense Department officials, whatever you call them, Lavrov, he said there will never be a government in Ukraine that is not pro-Russian.
Yeah.
That's what Putin intends. And as long as the U.S. and NATO are not explicitly going to get involved in it, Putin's going to do what he wants.
All right, you're listening to today's issues on the American Family Radio Network. Thanks for listening, Tim, Fred, and Ed. By the way, did you guys see where hundreds of people are stuck on the slopes of Mount Everest?
Yeah.
Because of a massive snowstorm. I guess it was unexpected.
Mm-hmm.
And these people are in serious peril up there.
That part of the world, you're going to be in danger. It's dangerous when the weather's perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who goes to rescue them?
Well, that's the problem.
You know?
How do you do it?
Yeah.
And I mean, if the mountain has got fog or whatever on the top there, the storm is still continuing. There's no way you can set down there.
I've read about Mount Everest because I'm never going to hike to the top. Do you call it a hike?
I don't
climb.
Climb. Anyway, I've read some stories about Mount Everest. It's the tallest mountain in the world.
Yeah.
Right? I don't know how many feet. Anybody know how many feet?
I will
Be a good
look
trivia
that up.
question.
You want me to save it for?
But there are. Well, no, that's okay. There are. Okay, I don't mean to sound morbid, but it's 29,000 feet. Now I've hiked 23,000 feet a couple times.
Have you?
Yeah, just training for basketball season.
Oh. Okay.
And the air up there is just, it's hard to,
yeah.
You know, so you can't jump very high. Hard to get a basketball goal up there.
So while other basketball players were running stairs,
I'm climbing mountains.
At the gym, you were climbing mountains.
Again, that never 29,000 feet.
Right. But, you know,
23 right
yeah.
in there. You know, that's
got yourself in shape.
But I've seen people, again, I don't mean to sound morbid, but I don't know how else to describe this. All these hikers they're going up the mountain, right?
Yeah.
I'm talking about current.
Yeah.
And about every mile they see a dead body.
Yes, because no one's going up there.
That's green boots from the 70s.
Yes.
Okay, that kind of thing. I mean, it's really treacherous and dangerous, and yeah, I mean, but I don't think they've ever had a situation like this where you have all these hikers, hundreds of them, stuck.
Yeah.
You know, and you can't get a helicopter up there
right.
So to land hardly. So I don't know what's going to happen to these poor folks.
And like you said, it is dangerous. So you can't just send. It's not like someone getting lost in Yellowstone, where you can send people out to look for them without endangering the search party.
Right. That's what I'm talking about. All right, we'll be back momentarily with more of today's issues on the American Family Radio Network. Stay with us.
It's my turn.
Here is your host for My Turn, Don Wildmon.
Ever notice the different names we give our dogs? I used to have a dog named Pluto. Fido is a more common name. So is Skip and Shep. I ran across a story about a dog named Troubles. I thought it was unusual for a dog to be named Troubles. But then Troubles is an unusual dog. Troubles was a scout dog in Vietnam. He was left behind in the jungle when his master was wounded and air evacuated out. Troubles had been airlifted to the patrol area and had no scent to follow by which to return. However, 3 weeks later, exhausted and 40 pounds thinner, Troubles showed up back at the base camp. He went to the spot where his master's gear always lay, only to find that it had been moved. He searched till he found it, and then collapsed on it. He had found what he'd been searching for. It's that way most of the time in life, finding what we're searching for, I mean. I'm not saying that if we search for $1 million, we'll find it. I am saying that as far as the intangible things go in life, we usually find what we're searching for. If we wish to find fault, we usually will find it. If we look for good, we will usually find it. What we find is usually what we want to find and what we expect to find, and in reality what we're looking for. Strange, isn't it, how two people can look at a person and see two different people? One day a fellow who was proud of how good he was looked upon a woman who had made a mess of her life and called her a sinner unfit to touch. Another fellow in the same room and looking at the same woman called her act of washing his feet with her tears and wiping them with her hair and then putting perfume on them a beautiful thing. Two people looking at the same woman, but each saw a different person. Each saw what he wished to see. It's that way. We find what we want to find. Troubles wanted to find his master. He searched for him. It cost him all the energy he could muster and the loss of 40 pounds. He had nearly nothing to help him in his search, but he found what he was looking for. It may seem that Troubles went through a lot of trouble searching for what he found, and he did, but no more than we go through sometimes, searching for faults or mistakes of others. About the best way I know of losing an enemy is to make a friend. And we make friends by searching for the good and the beautiful. Thoreau Harris wrote a poem about it because he believed in it so much. Look for the beautiful, look for the true. Look for the beautiful, life's journey through. Paul wrote some poetry about it also. Finally, brethren, whatsoever things are true, whatsoever things are honest, whatsoever things are just, whatsoever things are pure, whatsoever things are lovely, whatsoever things are of good report, if there be any virtue, and if there be any praise, think on these things. What are you going to find in others? That depends on what you're looking for.
This has been My Turn with Don Wildmon, a production of the American Family Association.
Blessed be the God and Father of our Lord Jesus Christ. According to his great mercy, he has caused us to be born again to a living hope through the resurrection of Jesus Christ from the dead. 1 Peter 1:3.
American Family Radio. This is today's issues. Email your comments to comments@afr.net. Past broadcasts of today's issues are available for listening and viewing in the archive at afr.net. Now, back to more of today's issues.
Hey, welcome back to today's issues on the American Family Radio Network. Tim, Ed, and Fred, thank you for listening to AFR on this Monday, October the 6th. Tomorrow, Wednesday and Thursday. Again, Thursday follows Wednesday. That's how it works, right?
Absolutely.
So Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, we have Share-a-thon on American Family Radio. So we're going to have a lot of fun, and we're going to talk with people from around the country who listen to AFR. We're going to do interviews. We're going to take your phone calls. So be prepared to call us and make a donation and be as generous as you can. God sees. What did I say something wrong? No, God.
God does.
I didn't get to finish my sentence. Hold on a second.
Okay.
God sees your heart.
Yes.
And knows, what you're capable of.
Right.
And so, get ready to.
And you're saying that cuts both ways.
Listen, you know what? In all seriousness, the Lord has always provided. For us here at AFA and AFR over our 40+ years of existence. So things won't be any different this time. Our listeners who value the ministry of AFR will come through again tomorrow, Wednesday, and Thursday. And Thursday night we'll be happy.
Yeah.
We'll be happy with the results. So we want to thank everybody because listen, folks, we can't make it without. We're not a station or a radio network that gets. There's not a big billionaire somebody underwriting our existence. There's not. We don't get any government money, nor would we take it if it were offered. We're supported because strings are attached when you take government money. We're supported by people who give us $50 a month, $100 a month. They may write $1,000, $2,000 check during Share-a-thon. That's people being very generous. So those are the salt in the earth folks out there who believe in our mission, who support us on a regular basis. So on a monthly basis, that's what if we can count on your donation for once a month, a draft or or whatever. That's the best way to go. All right, you're listening to AFR, Tim, Ed, and Fred. Next story, Fred.
Well, we all know that President Trump scored a victory for sure when he sent National Guard troops into Washington, D.C. They have seen a tremendous decrease in crime there. Of course, legally, he didn't have a problem because it is the District of Columbia, not a state. But we all know that President Trump believes places like Chicago and Portland, Oregon, and Los Angeles have a real crime problem. And he believes that I want to send troops in there, particularly to support federal buildings, ICE buildings in Chicago, in Portland, Oregon. Well, on the weekend, a judge who he appointed in his first term, U.S. District Judge Karen Immercut, she ruled against him. She said you cannot assign Oregon National Guard troops into Portland to deal with the violence that we have seen, some of their protests outside of ICE headquarters there in Portland, Oregon. So the Trump administration turned around within hours and said, okay, we'll move California National Guard troops up there. Well, this judge was not too pleased with that. She rendered almost immediately another decision saying, no, that you can't. And she said she was quite insulted that the Trump administration would do that. So remember, what he wants to do, National Guard troops to help protect these ICE and federal facilities in these Democrat-run cities. Well, Fox legal analyst Greg Jarrett says the law says the president has the authority to send troops in there. Cut number 8.
The governing statute, which authorizes the president to act as he is, was broadly written by Congress. It does not prevent the president from mobilizing the National Guard for use in a neighboring state like California. Just the opposite. The law specifically says that the president can call into federal service units from any state. It does not say the Guard is restricted within its own state. And of course, once the president federalizes troops, well, the jurisdiction extends federally across state boundaries. And the judge's backup argument is the 10th Amendment, which, as you know, reserves powers to the states, not delegated to the federal government. But wait a minute, Congress did delegate National Guard power to the president, and he's exercising it.
Okay, let me ask you this, see if you know the answer, just to simplify this for our listeners. In Portland, and I don't know about Chicago, you have ICE, the Immigration Customs Enforcement Agency. They're going out and arresting people to deport them.
Correct.
Because these people have committed crimes, they're drug dealers, they're gangbangers, whatever the case may be. They're arresting the worst of the worst, right? They're after them. ICE is, which is their job, to get them off the streets of the U.S. and get them out of our country if you can. Now, so in response to this, these far lefties, I would call them, Antifa types, some of them, they are against any kind of arrest and deportation of these people.
Correct.
So they confront the ICE agents at their buildings where they're detaining the illegal immigrants. Am I
Yes.
Am I on track so far?
Right. Yeah.
Okay. So what President Trump is doing, by the way, this fits in with what Kristi Noem said about her agents, Department of Homeland Security agents under threat. But so back to just to simplify things. So the federal building where this is happening and the agents who are protecting it are asking for local police help, right? And they're not getting it, I guess. So President Trump has said, okay, then we'll send in the federal, because the mayors of Portland and Chicago, example, would be lefties themselves. So they're not going to send the police. They're going to, in fact, not going to allow their policemen to help ICE, right?
Yeah, we have a recording.
Okay.
Where apparently ICE officials called for help, police to come and help them
in Chicago.
in Chicago.
Yeah.
So have a listen to this.
Hold on.
Okay.
I want to play that.
Yeah.
But just to finish this out here, so that President Trump is calling in National Guardsmen to help defend these buildings and these detention centers.
Correct.
This is different from what happened in Washington, D.C., and what might happen in Memphis and New Orleans. It's been talked about, where the National Guard would be put on the streets to do patrolling for law enforcement purposes.
Mm-hmm.
This is a defensive posture to protect federal assets, including people. Have I set that up pretty well?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so, but the governors and the mayors are resisting even that.
Yes.
In these blue states. Okay, what are we about to hear, Fred?
We're going to hear police band radio instructing Chicago Police Department not to go to the aid of ICE agents in Chicago who were having trouble. The protests got kind of violent there. Cut number 9.
For the Chief of Patrol, clear everybody up. We're not responding over there.
Radio check. And again, per the Chief of Patrol, we have all the units that per 999. Chief of Patrol said all units clear out from there. We're not sending anybody over to that location.
62, we're going to clear out as soon as we can, Squad. We're like locked in over here, so we're going to do the best we can to get out of here as soon as we can.
Yeah, so there you have it. She's
That's reprehensible. If the order has come down within the Chicago Police Department to not respond to requests, I'm not even sure that's legal for them to not respond to a 911 request. I don't know if it was done through the 911 system or if they just called and said, hey, we need some help. Ordinarily, law enforcement sticks together, whatever the level, whether it's local, state, federal, they help each other out when they can. But if they are being told not to go and help.
Who called 911?
Apparently it was ICE, wasn't it?
That's my understanding.
ICE was asking for help in pushing back, handling the crowd that was around
Chicago.
The detention.
So they
facility.
911, Chicago PD did not come. They said, don't go.
Yeah.
Don't go help.
Now, just a couple of hours ago, the mayor of Chicago, Brandon Johnson, signed an executive order saying the city is not going to allow ICE agents. Now, we're not talking about National Guard. We're not going to allow ICE agents to gather on municipal properties to carry out an operation to arrest illegal immigrants. So if it's any property owned by the city, a parking lot, whatever the case may be, we are not going to allow. I'm not sure how legal that is.
I don't think that's legal at all.
Yeah. Anyway, just as a demonstration of how anti these cities are towards any federal assets like this, he signed an executive order saying we're not going to allow these people.
Well, they wouldn't let Kristi Noem go to the restroom.
That's true.
That's
Did you
true.
see that the other day?
That was at either a city or state. Was it a city?
No, it's a city-owned building.
Yes,
a city-owned building, a municipal building, and
Tell her
Kristi
she
Noem,
can't come in here.
who's Secretary of Secretary of Homeland Security, and they told her you can't come in here, the building. And she said, "Wait a minute." She didn't. She went somewhere else, but she said, "This building receives $1 million in federal money."
Yeah,
she found out.
Yeah.
And it's also a public building.
Right.
So anybody can go in there. You don't even have to be participating in business there. You can just walk off the street, say, I got to go to the restroom, and use the facilities because it's a public building. And they turned her away. So the city government of Chicago and the governor's office in Illinois is completely being combative with federal government and federal agencies and federal agents. And, furthermore, you remember Governor Gavin Newsom of California, and that may have been the state legislature too. I forgot if it was a law or an executive order from the governor's office. And he said, you got to get these masks off of ICE agents. And of course, we know what will happen then. They'll be doxxed, and their families will be in danger.
So here's the way it probably could play out. Because you have governors, you have mayors and governors in these deep blue states that are pushing. They are pushing back against the federal government. Okay, so what happens if in Chicago, ICE does gather on public land in preparation for a raid? What is Chicago going to do? Are they going to send the cops in to arrest federal government agents? And then the federal government agent says, no, you're not going to arrest us. We're going to call in the FBI, and they're going to arrest you guys. You're going to arrest cops from Chicago. This is what happens when you have radicals in charge of government, whether it's city or state. Same thing in California. What are they going to do? They're going to arrest ICE agents who continue to wear their masks?
Right.
And
listen, you have to have law and order or everything breaks down.
Right.
And what the left is doing is they're saying these are unjust laws. They've decided themselves these are unjust laws. I'm talking about immigration enforcement laws. Their belief is that the left believes they don't believe in borders. That's why Biden let millions and millions of people come in here. So if fundamentally you don't believe in borders, then you really don't believe in law and order.
Right.
You really don't. So that's manifesting itself by these behaviors from these blue state governors and mayors. And I hate to say this, but I don't know what percentage, but it's got to be 25% or more of our fellow Americans. They don't believe in immigration laws either. So they're not,
not even for criminals.
No, they don't. They don't.
The ICE is going after criminals.
It's unbelievable.
Drug dealers and gang members and murderers. And the Democratic Party in these cities and states that are blue are defending
yes, they are.
The criminals.
Yes, they're. Well, that's where the AOC and the Bernie Sanders and that wing of the Democrat Party, where the energy is in their party right now. They're rejecting their own establishment of the traditional Democrats. I'm talking about these lefties are isn't that what happened in the 60s, though, really?
A lot of people don't remember that the late 60s, early 70s were very violent, and there was a lot of this same kind of very hostile political division. I've told people, I've said on the air before, I was doing research for an article that I was writing when the assassination attempt was made on Trump during the campaign, that in an 18-month period between 1971 and 1972, there were 2,500 bombs that went off in the United States in 18 months. And this was from...
Was that the Weather Underground?
Weather Underground, the SDS, Students for Democratic Society, Black Panthers. They were using that kind of violence. So a lot of people forget that, and some people weren't born, that this country has gone through these kinds of periods of great division. I will say this, too, in warning to the Democratic Party, as if they're listening. The Democratic Party became known in the 70s for being pro-criminal and not caring about victims, and they became the Weak on Crime Party. That helped lead to the victory of Ronald Reagan in 1980. And the Democratic Party's making the same mistake, siding with criminals and not caring about victims.
They're going to frame this the lefties, they're going to frame this as ICE is breaking up families.
Right.
That's how they try to portray it. ICE is breaking up families. Yeah, families of criminals and gang members. Right.
If you were to ask the Democrats who would argue, like you just said, and I have no doubt, that is what they've been saying, AOC and the others. If you were to ask them, okay, fine, how about we just get rid of, that means you're in favor of these young single men being deported if they're gang members and are here illegally, right? You're in favor of that.
I think they'd be opposed to that, too.
I think they would be, which means...
Or incarcerating them. I think they'd be opposed to that, too.
So their argument that it's all about breaking up families is a lie.
Right, I see what you're saying, yeah. All right, you're listening to today's issues on the American Family Radio Network. All right, Fred, next story.
Well, we've got some pretty key elections coming up next month in New Jersey, governor's race there, but Also in Virginia, the current governor of that state, Glenn Youngkin, is term limited. And so there's a real race on for the governor there, but also for a new attorney general in Virginia. And the candidate for that spot for the Democrats is a gentleman by the name of Jay Jones. He would like to be the Democrat attorney general of that state. Well, someone has done some research on some things he has said in the past. And in particular, there is a text now that has been made public on a verbal attack that he has made against a former Speaker of the House there in Virginia. His name is Todd Gilbert. So the text Jones wrote goes something like this, quote, 3 people, 2 bullets, Gilbert, Hitler, and Pol Pot. Gilbert gets 2 bullets to the head. All right? This is the Democrat who wants to be the next Attorney General of Virginia. Well, the current governor, Glenn Youngkin, was on Fox and Friends this morning, and although Jay Jones has issued an apology for what he had to say, Glenn Youngkin is not accepting that at all. Cut number 11.
I thought this was a joke because no one could write this. I mean, no, this is demented. And here we have the Democrat candidate running for Attorney General, the top cop in Virginia, wishing not only that he had 2 bullets to put in a guy's head, but then he wishes death on his children. And Todd Gilbert has small kids. And for Jay Jones to wish death on his small children is beyond belief. But that is where the violent left of the Democrat Party is. This is where these folks are. You know, we had Charlie Kirk assassinated, and so many folks celebrated in the far left. We've had two Democrats threaten to murder 2 of our delegates running for office in Virginia. And now Jay Jones comes out and says that he has 2 bullets for Todd Gilbert's head and wants to see his children die. I mean, this is unbelievable.
Again, we're talking about politics in the state of Virginia, but this is a statewide race for who will be the next attorney general. I can't help but think that this will end this guy's chances. I don't know what the polling shows there. Who's the person running against him?
The Republican is the current attorney general.
Okay.
Mayaris.
Okay. Sorry, I didn't know that. But anyway, so a governor is the only one that's 2-term that can't. Okay, in the state of Virginia, you can only be governor for 1 term, 1 consecutive term, right?
Yes.
Where most states allow for 2 consecutive terms. Anyway, but you stay in the AG office, you can. Okay, so the current AG, which is a Republican, is whose name escapes me.
Jason Mayaris. Yeah. Really good guy.
Absolutely. But okay, so this Democrat running against him, as Governor Youngkin was talking about, there a text of him saying that the ought to be murdered, saying that whoever.
Yeah, he says, this Jay Jones, questioned whether Gilbert and his wife were, quote, breeding little fascists, end quote, and then reportedly wished for the deaths of Gilbert's children and said this: only when people feel pain personally do they move on policy, which is just a ridiculously abhorrent thing to say.
And Gilbert is referring to the Republican House Speaker.
Yes.
Okay. So how do you now the current fellow running for governor, the Democrat?
It's a lady, actually.
Excuse me, Spanberger.
Yes.
I know people in Virginia are going, get your facts right. Okay, I'm trying to, but I can't keep up with 50 states, all their names and everything. I try. I can 44 states I can keep up with. You get beyond that, you know what I'm saying? I start
while you're climbing 22,000
feet,
you know.
It gets taxing on a person mentally and physically. But so Spanberger, the lady running for governor, the Democrat who's ahead in the polls against Winsome Sears.
Correct.
She said this, I spoke frankly with Jay, talking about the guy who issued these he didn't issue, he wrote text saying that the Republican House Speaker ought to be murdered and his kids. I spoke with Jay about my disgust and what he said and texted. I made clear to Jay that he must take full responsibility for his words. I will always condemn violent language in our politics. Well, that's all good and fine, but that's unacceptable. You got to call for him to resign and let somebody else run as the Democrat in that position. What does it mean to take full responsibility for your words when your words are, my political opponent should be assassinated?
Right.
Especially in the climate that we live in today, and any time. But this is just, again, violence threatened from who? The political left in this country.
And you can imagine if this was all reversed.
Oh, my word. Oh, my word.
Well, and this is the way Jay Jones defended himself. He did say he regretted what he sent, and this is what he said.
You're going to quote him?
I'm going to quote him.
Okay.
Quote, like all people, I've sent text messages that I regret, and I believe that violent rhetoric has no place in our politics, end quote. To which I say, first of all, baloney. I think you said what you believe. This is exactly what the radical left has said, starting with Antifa back in 2020. Punch a fascist in the face.
Right.
It's justified to use violence against fascists, and that is clearly what Jay Jones said. Now when he says, I regret it, it's because he's running for office and wants to try to skate. But listen, I've sent text messages that I regret. I've sent them to my wife and regretted it immediately.
Shouldn't have hit send, Ed.
I shouldn't have hit send. I'm just kidding about that part. But that's not what this is. This isn't saying, hey, the pot roast last night was terrible. Get your act together.
Yeah,
this
I would do that either.
I want children to be murdered.
Yeah. I don't see how this guy survives this. Because I think that kind of thing could drag the whole Democrat ticket down in Virginia potentially, just like what happened 4 years ago when the then governor, oh no, he wasn't then governor, but what was his name?
You're talking about Terry McAuliffe?
Yeah, McAuliffe. Remember the Loudoun County school situation? He said parents should have no right to be involved in decisions in schools. Remember that?
Yeah.
Yep.
This could be that kind of moment. We'll be back momentarily.
The views and opinions expressed in this broadcast may not necessarily reflect those of the American Family Association or American Family Radio.
Faith, family, freedom. American Family Radio.
Sometimes being an insider means you understand the joke that only certain ones really know. Other times, it gets you into exclusive places. As an AFA insider, you'll get information about issues and policies that can dramatically impact our families and our Christian rights, and you won't have to travel to D.C. or even dress up to get it. Find out more and sign up at afa.net/activism.
This is American Family Radio, a listener-supported ministry of the American Family Association.
American Family News, I'm Rusty Pugh. A judge has stopped President Trump from taking any action on deploying the National Guard in Portland, describing the move as unlawful and unconstitutional.
This federal judge in Oregon blocked the Trump administration at just about every turn over the weekend, first saying that Oregon National Guard troops couldn't help restore order, and then nixing an effort to send in troops from California and Texas. Now, President Trump says enough is enough in Portland, and he was furious over the judge's ruling. On the other hand, we have California Governor Gavin Newsom, who celebrated posting this on X. The court granted our request for a temporary restraining order halting any federalization, relocation, or deployment of any Guard members to Oregon from any state. Trump's abuse of power won't stand.
That's Doug Luzader reporting. The shutdown continues with no progress made to fund the government, as both parties standing by their demands. Democrats are vowing to restore over $1 trillion in health care funding, while Republicans are sticking by their clean resolution that would keep funding at current levels. House Appropriations Committee Chair Tom Cole of Oklahoma.
I think the Democrats, quite frankly, just are throwing a temper tantrum. Look, we're willing to negotiate on these other matters, but we're not willing to shut down the government. And it's an enormous mistake. It's costing the American people every day.
Multiple homes in the Outer Banks in North Carolina are collapsing due to recent severe weather.
In Buxton, North Carolina, on the Outer Banks, where beaches once existed, homes are now collapsing. An onward push from tropical systems that were hundreds of miles out into the Atlantic has fueled this catastrophic scenario. Couple that with sea level rise and beach erosion, and the situation is not good. More homes are expected to fall into the sea in the coming days and weeks as the region is experiencing a king tide and a rare supermoon. All of that put together, and that spells disaster. We'll continue to monitor this on the ground in the Outer Banks. Robert Ray, Fox Weather.
Virginia Governor Glenn Youngkin said state Democratic Attorney General candidate Jay Jones should abandon his campaign in disgrace after he once remarked about shooting a former Virginia House Speaker in text messages with another lawmaker.
I thought this was a joke because no one could write this. I mean, this is demented. And here we have the Democrat candidate running for Attorney General, the top cop in Virginia, wishing not only that he had 2 bullets to put in a guy's head, but then he wishes death on his children.
Meanwhile, Virginia's governor has issued an executive directive to protect men who invade women's private spaces.
In what the Family Foundation of Virginia calls a major victory for women and girls across the Commonwealth, Virginia Governor Glenn Youngkin issued Executive Directive 14 on Thursday. In an interview with AFN, Victoria Cobb, the president of the Family Foundation of Virginia, explained what an executive directive means.
An executive directive is something where the governor is instructing his own personnel. And since the Board of Health is an appointed board, it's him telling his people what he expects them to do.
She said her team is thrilled to hear this news.
Governor Glenn Youngkin has instructed the Board of Health to promulgate regulations, or basically get in place regulations that would ensure that only girls compete in girls' sports and only girls can be found in girls' locker rooms.
She said this follows a 14-0 unanimous decision by Virginia's Board of Health to start pursuing these things.
You know, for too long, policymakers ignored the voices of women and girls who had been sidelined, silenced, and forced to compete on an unfair playing field.
So when can women and girls see changes?
There's still a process, so this has to work through the regulatory process in Virginia, but we can expect that they will be pushing it even quicker now that the governor is behind it. And so we look forward to the day where we can officially tell our girls that there will be no boys in any of their private spaces or taking their trophies.
I'm Bronson Woodruff.
Wall Street is hanging near its records today as tech stocks keep rising. The S&P 500 rose 0.2%, coming off its latest all-time high. The Dow is down 113 points, and the Nasdaq Composite 0.4% higher. More news available online at afn.net and download the AFN mobile app for your Apple or Android device. I'm Rusty Pugh.
The mission of AFA is to inform, equip, and activate individuals and families to strengthen the moral foundations of American culture and give aid to the church here and abroad in its task of fulfilling the Great Commission. AFA upholds the truth that all human beings, including the unborn, are created in the image of God and are worthy of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness.
Thank you for standing with the American Family Association.
Today's Issues continues on AFR with your host, Tim Wildmon, president of the American Family Association.
Hey, welcome back, everybody, to today's Issues on the American Family Radio Network. Thanks for listening to the program, and we appreciate you always listening to American Family Radio. I'm Tim with Ed, and now Steve Paisley-Jordahl joins us on this Monday morning. Good morning.
Good morning,
Steve.
everybody. How y'all doing?
Good weekend, Steve, for you there?
I did. I got to just preview this. My wife and I went to a Baptist meeting there's a group of Baptists that state convention, like it's a convention, but it's only a couple counties wide. But this convention welcomed a new church into their membership, and this was a church that was run entirely in a prison. The pastor is a prisoner, as an inmate. All the elders, they have the whole thing set up as a Southern Baptist church, and it's inside a prison. New Orleans Seminary went into prisons for a while back in Louisiana, and now they're doing it in Mississippi, and started offering degrees.
Wow, that's great.
And this pastor got his Master's of Divinity from New Orleans, not a not a miniature version of that. The whole thing. Learned Greek, learned Hebrew, had to do the whole thing. And
wow.
He's now the pastor of a church, a thriving church in a prison here, and I'm still trying to figure out which exact prison it is, because I'm going to go there. They have services on Saturday afternoons, and my wife and I are going to go. I'm going to do an interview, and I will do a story, and we're going to see if we can get this guy on TI.
Well,
So
and there's many positive aspects of that, obviously. But here's one you probably didn't think of, Steve. At least the church doesn't have to worry about the pastor being, quote unquote, led to a bigger church.
No kidding.
Good point, Ed.
He's gonna stay right there.
Well, as long as he's in, I don't know how long his sentence
I see.
is for.
Yeah,
I don't think he's in for life.
Yeah. Okay.
But he said it was really interesting because he said, I found myself in prison just utterly ripped apart, just dejected and just torn up. And it wasn't because I was in prison and away from my family, because I was. And it wasn't because I thought I wasn't guilty, because I was guilty. It was because the Word of God got a hold of my soul, my heart, and convicted me of sin.
Well, I think this is great that you're going to cover this story, and hopefully you can get in. I think you have to apply, and they have to do background checks and whatever.
Yeah, the warden was there with him when they brought him to this thing. He was in full, garb, the striped pants and the whole bit.
Yeah.
And the warden came. I talked with her. She said she'd be glad to. The whole prison has come to Christ. In fact, the warden and all of the leadership of that prison have become Christians through this whole revival thing too.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm going to talk to you after the show. Some other ways we can make this story public.
Yeah.
Because this is a wonderful story, and let's not kid ourselves. That is the only thing that can truly turn our country around.
Yeah.
Is seeing the gospel have that kind of success in changing hearts.
Absolutely.
Next story.
All right. In June of 2022. A man named Nicholas Roski decided he had had enough with the Supreme Court and hatched a plot to come and assassinate Supreme Court Justice Brett Kavanaugh. He was unsuccessful, very fortunately, but he was arrested. And he was convicted. And sometime between his arrest and his conviction and his sentencing, which is yet to happen, he decided he wanted to wear a dress. And all of that came with. You understand what I'm saying,
yes.
There, right? And now he wants to be called Sophie. And everybody's playing along with it, including the judge. This is, to me, astounding. This is the judge in talking about sentencing this man who thinks he's a she.
Are you going to quote from the judge?
Yes.
Okay.
So the background is that Roski's sister came out as gay 2 years before, and the parents had a hard time dealing with it, right? But now the mother, Colleen, says that she has attended PFLAG, which is Parents and Friends of Lesbian and Gays, meetings and learned about the LGBTQ plus community, and she's committed to going on this journey with, and she called her son Sophie. So she has turned completely pro-gay. And this is what the judge wrote in the sentencing statement.
Again, this is the man who drove 3,000 miles to attempt to assassinate
Correct.
Justice Kavanaugh.
And this is what she wrote. I am heartened that this terrible infraction has helped the Roski family accept their daughter for who she is.
That has nothing to do with the case.
Apparently it does to her, because listen to this. She said, and this is again in her writing.
Federal judge.
Federal judge. Let's not hide the fact that President Trump issued an executive order saying transgender inmates would be assigned to prisons with their biological sex. The judge stated that she was worried that he wasn't going to be getting hormones because President Trump has also talked about not doing that. She says, but there's an injunction against that. And this is what she writes. Listen, this astounds me. With the injunction in place, the injunction meaning he can get hormones in prison, Ms. She calls him Ms. Roski, could receive gender-affirming care. That's what another euphemism. But if that injunction goes away, she could be denied it. So when I sentence her, I take into account that she is a transgender woman.
This is unbelievable.
I would just say if Congress was operating the way they should be,
Right.
and this includes Republicans.
He got 97 months, by the way, in prison.
How many years is that? So was that 7 years?
Yeah,
what is
somewhere
that?
around there.
This judge should be impeached.
Yes.
And removed from the
Yes,
bench.
yes.
That is not a legal ruling.
Right. No, that's the ruling of an LGBTQ activist.
Yes.
Who talking about the daughter of the mother, or who's the sister, the sister of the would-be assassin of Justice Kavanaugh, and the federal judge in her appealing is commenting on that kind of a sideline issue just to get her pro-LGBTQ points in. That's yeah, you're right. A federal judge who does something like that should be impeached. Now, hopefully, her ruling will be overturned.
Well, this is a sentencing, so I don't know.
So it won't be overturned then. Never mind, it won't be. Okay, then I'll bet you this federal judge just decided she would write this her thesis.
Yeah.
And get it out there for the record so that
And by the way, it's 8 years.
8 years.
8 years for trying to assassinate a Supreme Court justice.
Right.
By the way, in this article that's from Not the Bee that I have, it says, in court, Roski appeared as a tall man with a deep voice. His online posts show that even as a, quote, transgender, he's still attracted to women. And he wants to go to a women's prison.
Well, you're gonna find that happening more and more in these blue states that allow for this kind of absurdity. I mean, if I'm going to be convicted of a crime I got to go to jail for, put me in the women's jail.
Right.
Huh?
That's clearly what's going on.
I don't want to mess with these rough dudes who are going to do bad things to me potentially.
Right.
I'll go over there with the girls.
If a high school student is going to wear a dress just so they can get a medal, how much more would you want to wear a dress if it would get you out of a lifetime of prison and men's prison?
And by the way, the trans ideology states you don't have to transition just to claim to be, like, if I want to say I'm a woman, you've got no right to say, well, then you're going to have to transition. No,
Right.
I
No.
don't.
No. All right, next story, Steve.
All right. Hey, I don't know. Did you guys know that Jordan Peterson's been sick?
No. I know he's had some health issues.
Tell people who he is. for
Jordan
those who don't
Peterson
know.
is a counselor and a Canadian former professor who now is podcasting, but he was one of the first people to come out and say, I refuse to be told how to use pronouns. And so he's conservative, family-oriented. In the recent years, he's been doing more secular takes on Bible books of the Bible.
Yeah. As far as I can tell, he's not a Christian.
Well,
but he seems to be fascinated with the Christian faith.
He is, and that is up for debate. We don't know. His daughter, however, I think is. His daughter, his name is Michaela, and she does a show with him now. It's kind of a counseling kind of show.
By the way, can I just interrupt here just a second, just so people don't misunderstand me? When I say he's not a Christian, he's been asked directly on podcasts, are you a Christian? And he does not seem to want to answer that.
Right.
Okay, I'm not sure why that is. He may have his reasons. My take is, if you're a Christian, you say so. But to your point, he may have his reasons for wanting to not make that public at this time. So
Anyway, his daughter gave an update on his health, and I wanted to help play that for you. Cut 15.
This summer has been exceedingly difficult. Dad was in an ICU suffering from pneumonia and sepsis after dealing with a host of neurological issues this summer that we believe stem from CIRS, which is chronic inflammatory response syndrome due to decades of mold exposure. We don't have a better explanation for his neurological symptoms at the moment other than spiritual attacks. He's been suffering for the last number of years with unexplainable neuropathy and weakness, amongst other symptoms, but they worsened this summer after he cleaned out his parents' basement after his dad, my grandpa, passed away. We weren't able to communicate with Dad really all of September. But after almost a month in the ICU, he's been moved out to a less urgent floor. Praise God for that.
She goes on in the writing to say she understands that could be a spiritual attack. Her daughter, infant daughter, was also taken ill, very ill, at about the exact same time. And she says, we do know that all things can work together for good. And she says, prayers are much appreciated. And she cites Ephesians 6:12.
Well, now she sounds like a sure enough Christian.
Yeah, she's
yeah. And that is this the daughter that had to go on that carnivore diet because I think she had like rheumatoid arthritis or something.
I'm unaware of that.
Really badly.
I don't know.
And the carnivore diet turned that around for her. If it's the same daughter, I don't know how many kids they have or anything.
I didn't know.
But
I'll look it up.
She and Jordan Peterson have had health issues in their lives. And so, folks, wow, I did not know this about Jordan Peterson. I'm a big fan of his conservative worldview and his abilities to just so boldly fight against the woke and pro-trans crowd. So please be praying for Jordan Peterson. And I think he has struggled with what you would consider to be spiritual warfare. And
he overcame an opioid addiction several years ago.
Yeah.
And Michaela is the daughter who is on the carnivore diet and improved her health and well-being.
I'm sorry. I think I know the answer to this, but what exactly is a carnivore diet?
I think it's just all meat.
It eliminates all plant-based foods, including fruits, vegetables, grains, and legumes. A lot of protein.
Okay, so this person would not marry a vegan.
Right.
Well, or it would be like,
right.
What's the Jack Sprat could eat no fat, his wife could eat no lean. They could do one of those kind of things.
I forgot all about that.
Is that like a rap song or a nursery?
A nursery rhyme.
It's a nursery rhyme.
You remember that?
How did it go? Wait, hold on. I know Jack and Jill.
I don't
They
have
went up
the
the
whole
hill
one in my
to
head.
fetch a pail of water.
You don't remember Jack Sprat? You don't.
Yeah, I've heard that name.
He was about 5'8". He had red hair, and his wife was blonde. And
did they live by that lady with a bunch of kids in a shoe?
They might have.
I think they did. They came to one of our last AFA retreats. You probably you would remember them if you saw them.
Okay.
Jack Sprat.
Here it is.
No fat.
Clean Jack Sprat could eat no fat, while his wife could eat no lean, and so between the two of them, they licked the platter clean.
I've done
Well,
that
that's
many
bad
times.
manners, actually.
I've done that many times.
Yeah, that's inappropriate tableside manners right there.
Tableside manners. Hey, but that's good. Thank you for that, folks. Please be praying for
people. Really,
Jordan
just
Peterson.
eat all. There are people that eat.
We've got a couple here that do that. I'll tell you afterwards. I don't want to say their name on the air.
But I mean, will they have bread?
No. I think I'm right on that. It's
just meat all day, every day?
Just meat all day, every day.
Wow. Okay. Like no vegetables.
Now, Brent Creeley's looking at me. Are you wanting to say something?
I was just going to say, if I was going to go on a diet, sign me up for that one.
Well, it's not going to be the cheapest diet in the world, but I'm with you. I would rather do that than some of those other diets.
Oh, then okay. Well, I just didn't. I thought I understood a carnivore diet, but that to me that would mean you can eat meat and then you can also eat a roll or some. But I guess it's just all meat all day.
It's all meat every meal, or however many meals you have.
Well, okay then.
Yeah.
Next story, Steve. Steve, by the way, you're listening to Today's Issues on the American Family Radio Network. Tim, Ed, and Steve Paisley Jordahl now. Steve's bringing us the news of the day. What's your next story, Steve?
We told you last week sometime that the NFL announced that some artist named Bad Bunny was going to be doing the halftime show this year at the Super Bowl. That's always a big...
Bad Bunny.
Bad Bunny. It's always a big get for an artist. And Bad Bunny is Hispanic. I understand all his songs are in Spanish, so there will be no English. Puerto Rican.
Yeah.
There will be no English.
Is that Hispanic, Ed? Puerto Rican?
If they speak Spanish, it is.
Yeah.
So they do speak Puerto Rican. I think it's probably related to the
well, his songs
language.
are in Spanish, I hear,
Yeah,
not Puerto Rican.
Yeah, there you go, Ed.
Okay.
Anyway, and he's
Steve.
been known to be sexually ambiguous. He's worn dresses in public and all this kind of stuff. So
That's not ambiguous. That's
it's
pretty
true.
much man messed up in the head. But anyway, go ahead.
So the NFL thought that was a good idea to pick this dude.
I thought it was a good idea. The last several have been.
You meant androgynous. That's what you meant to say.
Well, sometimes he does, and sometimes he doesn't.
That's androgyny.
There you go. Anyway, there's a Christian artist named Corey Asbury who has an interesting idea. And this is what Corey's idea is. He thinks maybe there should be a family-friendly halftime show. Cut 14.
All right, y'all. I just had an insane idea. What if we did an alternative, family-friendly halftime show for the Super Bowl? Every year, everyone is all up in arms about the performer for the halftime show. And I get it, because 9 times out of 10, it's raunchy as heck. You're seeing stuff you don't want to see. You're hearing stuff you don't want to hear, especially for your kids. So what if we threw together an alternate show at a different venue with just the biggest Christian artist and glorified the name of Jesus on a gigantic scale at a gigantic level? I've already talked to my boy Forrest. He is down to clown. He's down to play music is what I mean. Who else would you want to see there? My vision is this: blow it up huge. Let's get a stadium. Let's go crazy. While people are glorifying money and fame and sex and all kinds of stuff that we don't want to see, we can lift up the name of Jesus.
Who was that?
That was Corey Asbury, and I think actually he would could stand in for Brent as a kind of a censor for our.
I think that's a great idea.
Yeah, it is too.
I hope they do. I hope they put that together.
Yeah.
I think not only is it a great idea, I hope they do it every year, because the NFL has given a thumbs up to some horrifying acts.
If it works,
this Bad Bunny rapper, he doesn't even speak English. I mean, he speaks English, but he sings all his songs in Spanish.
So you say we wouldn't even know what he was.
There's nothing inherently wrong with that. I mean, at all. But I mean, he speaks the language of his country. I'm just saying, but to have I know it's called the Super Bowl and it's around the world, but it's basically played for the American audience, and the vast, vast majority of Americans speak English, and they're not going to be able to understand the words he says if he does his performance in Spanish. His name is Bad Bunny.
Bad Bunny. Well, that's the name he goes
his stage name.
It's a stage name.
It's
yet another rapper.
Am I right? His name is Benito Antonio Martinez Ocasio.
I'd go with Bad Bunny, too.
Yeah, right. Just a couple thoughts on this. The NFL has been spending a lot of time and money getting its games across the seas in foreign countries. Mexico, London, Germany. Every year now, and more often, they're having these games in foreign countries. Yeah. The other thing is, with the way the atmosphere is now in this country, after the Charlie Kirk Memorial, etc., this has a chance of really blowing up.
Well, they could put it, even if they just live streamed it. I think you don't even have to be on a television network. Just put it on a live stream and show it, and I bet you they'd have millions of people tune in if they got a bunch of Christian artists and did a halftime show there. Now, you got 20, 25 minutes to perform, so you wouldn't have time for more than maybe 3 or 4 artists, but still, that'd be a great idea. Instead of just turn the halftime show off with Bugs Bunny, and put on what would I say?
Instead of you said Bugs Bunny instead of Bad Bunny.
Did you say that?
I mean with the
Bad Bunny.
and put on Chris Tomlin and whoever else. Who else they got lined up?
Just
they don't have anybody lined up yet.
Well, no, he's talked to his friend Forrest Frank.
Forrest Frank. And let me just say this too. This is gonna. I love this idea. I hope they, like you said, Tim. I hope they do this. Okay. Now, I remember when I was pastoring, we didn't have church on Sunday nights anyway. We just had Sunday morning and Wednesday night. So we would have Super Bowl parties, and they were spectacular. We had a lot of fun.
A lot of food.
A lot of fun. And there were two groups of people. I'm not just talking about two sides rooting for two different teams. Two groups of people. There were the people who watched the game, and there were the people who ignored the game and talked while the others were watching the game, but then wanted everyone else to be quiet when the commercials came on, because you remember a lot of the commercials were hilarious. But the commercials have been pretty bad, just not funny over the last, 5-6 years. So you're going to have a lot more people who'd be willing to turn off the game and go and watch a live stream of a worship, a time of worship. I think that's a great idea.
Yeah, especially with put 2 or 3 of these well-known artists up there.
Yeah. Well, Forrest Frank, it's Frank, right? Not Frank's. Frank. Forrest Frank is huge, very popular amongst young people.
Yeah.
And so,
from what I've heard, it's not the deepest Christian music. It's not, you're not going to write a book of theology over it, but.
So you might get a lot of young people to tune into something like that.
Yeah. All right, just to end this thing from our favorite news source, did you know that Taylor Swift has a new album out?
I am aware of that.
I wouldn't have no idea.
Something about a showgirl. Anyway, she is now assuring Travis Kelce, her fiancé, that the new song "Dumb Harry Football Jock" is not about him.
It's from the Babylon Bee, obviously.
Yes.
I do not keep up with Taylor Swift. I didn't care. Some people got all twisted up.
But you know who she is.
Oh, yes, I do. A lot of people got all twisted up because at Chiefs games, the camera was always panning over her in the box where she was watching, and I didn't care. I mean, she was dating one of the players, Travis Kelce. And if she's dating one of the players,
you know a lot about her not to pay attention to her, Ed.
And let me just say, this last album that I know next to nothing about, I'm offended that it's about
third
showgirl.
song on there on that back side.
I'll tell you what, I'm not
listen,
Swiftie.
You can't exist in the U.S. today and not know who Taylor Swift is. It's like Elvis Presley in the 50s.
Yeah. She's probably close to that popular.
Oh, yeah, that strata.
Yeah.
Yeah. She's very – pop culture is just all about Taylor Swift right now. All right, we'll be back tomorrow with Share-a-thon, and we'll have a lot of fun, but we'll carry on giving you the news of the day that you should be aware of. And you have a wonderful afternoon. Keep listening to American Family Radio.